It was precisely April 2016 when I boarded the plane to India, a country that captured my heart forever. This trip was part of the second semester's Global Dwelling Studio, and the task was to redesign a slum in Ahmedabad. So after a tour around the city, we actually went to visit the site and got to talk to the people one-on-one and feel the spirit. And in a glimpse, I got an instant feeling of their lives and was overwhelmed by the underlying beauty. For me, this was a life-changing experience, as it was the first time that I've actually ever got in contact with the people that I was designing for. This moment made me realize what I had forgotten all along, that by studying architecture, I am designing for people. Doesn't sound like rocket science, right? Exactly. But the challenge for us architects is to remember what that actually means and shift architecture from one of separation to one of connectedness. I feel a distance in contemporary architecture because I feel many buildings were not actually designed for people. I mean, surely buildings are all conceived in a way that people can use, live and work in them, but does that automatically mean that they are healthy and connecting environments? As a matter of fact, we live in uncompassionate times where the majority of us have lost touch with ourselves. And the more we are alienated from ourselves, the more we create architecture that alienates its users and itself. The entire built environment around us that we see is merely a reflection of our collective architectural consciousness. The myth of the soul genius underpins especially architectural practice, where the visionary architect and self-expression measure the standard of success. And while contrary to popular belief, there's nothing wrong with self-expression at all. It's selfish self-expression that puts the architect's ego before the community's needs. As most of us architects work around a tight deadline and budget, we tend to assume how other people live and work. We assume that what's good for us must automatically be good for others. And while there may be some truth in it, a building is ultimately a physical manifestation of site-specific and user-oriented necessity. So instead of assuming, because we've done that way too long, we architects need to start to listen to our communities instead. A truthful architect really understands the importance of taking some time out to engage with and listen to the people she's building for in order to get a feeling for what's truly needed and wanted. How can our profession tap into collaborative creations and community potential? Now, there are many different ways of bringing the community into the process, and because we're talking about community potential, there's no good or bad or wrong or right way to do it, but it's merely a matter of who you are as an architect, who you want to be, and what seems truthful to you. So let's explore some options. Number one, Chilean architect and 2016 Pritzker Prize winner Alejandro Aravena was asked to build homes for 100 people with a very low budget. Only by actively engaging and working together with the families did he understand their needs, and it became apparent that building complete 40 square meter houses would not meet their needs. So together they rephrased the question and said, why not build half a 80 square meter house and let the homeowners complete the second half by themselves according to their individual needs. Number two, in times of crisis and disaster, communities are vulnerable and therefore prone to let architects and NGOs decide on what interventions to implement, which often leads to patchy and short-lived results, especially if hazards reoccur. And so in order to take a more holistic approach, it's smart to partner up with local partner organizations that work together with the community to collect and analyze information about short and long-term risks and develop action plans. In that way, community interest replaces personal interest and requires the ongoing education of both community and architect as an ongoing procedure of discovering and learning about the values and challenges through the design process, and then collaboratively applying those findings to the task at hand. Number 3, most of our projects at architecture school are based on self-expression and rarely include the public interest. But actually, self-expression and public interest don't have to exclude each other, but instead go together really well. A small start for that is to simply get out of architecture school, out into the streets and engage with the people. Ask them what drives them, get a feel for what is wanted and needed. If you're in the process of designing a museum, for example, doesn't it seem logical to write out emails to museum directors and local artists? How are you supposed to know what a museum really needs? And if they don't have time to meet you up, an option is to always send them an online poll or a questionnaire where they can fill out their opinions and thoughts about certain ideas and things. The more we connect ourselves, the more we realize how connected we are to everyone else. It's from this place of self-compassion that we have more compassion for others and can come up with conscious, inclusive designs that in turn make communities feel connected. Only by visiting the site in Ahmedabad and engaging with the residents could I see and feel the intricacies of their lives and the culture, the celebration of imperfections, the street networks as natural extensions of their homes, and that they didn't need much in order to be happy as long as they had their strong community support system. While site-specific and cultural needs always differ from project to project, all of us ultimately thrive on love and connection. So the question really is, how could architecture be a physical manifestation of exactly that? Starting from today on, how can you develop more compassion for yourself? And in your next project at architecture school, how will you include the public interest? That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching and joining this journey together with me. If you like what you saw, please give it a thumbs up. If you agree or disagree, drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and join our community on Instagram at What Our School Does Not Teach You, where I share thought-provoking content every single day. My name is Ines Hemmings and my mission is to empower you to seek and share your truth. See you next time.